Well, it's a seafaring type of show me landlubber, hearties, whatever you do thing on the James Whale Radio Show today.
James Whale, the voice of reason on the James Whale Radio Show.
Is that your farming impression?
Oh, hi, welcome to the programme. Lovely to have you with us. That wasn't very good, Robbo, was it, really? Let's be honest.
It was all right.
That was pretty shitty, to be quite honest. That was about the worst thing I've done for a long time. I'm only saying that because we're talking a little later on the programme to Tracy Edwards. Tracy Edwards, MBE, if you want to find out about Tracy, follow her on Twitter. The thing is, Tracy Edwards was the first woman, first all-female crew of a yacht to actually sail around the world. And I've always been fascinated about what makes people want to do that. I mean, why would you want to?
I don't.
Well, no, I don't. But anyway, Tracy Edwards, Tracy's actually trying to raise money to bring the yacht Maiden all the way back from where it is now. I think it's over in South Africa somewhere, and bring it back to this country. Believe it or not, we haven't got it in this country. That is the first ever yacht that sailed around the world with an all-female crew, headed by Tracy. And that happened, I don't know, nearly 30 years ago. And the boat is, I don't know what boats do, decaying, rusting away somewhere, and she wants to try, quite rightly, bring it back over here. So we're going to talk to her a little later. She's a bit of a naughty girl too, it has to be said. I've been reading up on her. She's been a bad lady.
Has she now?
Yes. So we'll talk to her later. Anyway, welcome to the programme. Sad week. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold still. Sad week this week, of course. We hear of the death of Rik Mayall, who just, I think, one of the funniest guys ever. Did you like Rik Mayall, Rob?
I love Rik Mayall. I've seen him in his stage shows quite a lot.
Really? I met Rik Mayall only on one occasion. My late night TV show, when it first started, it came from Yorkshire Television in Leeds, as I'm sure you are aware.
I am, yes. Carry on.
Good, yeah. And Rik Mayall was making The New Statesman. Do you remember The New Statesman?
Oh, Alan Bastard.
Alan Bastard, yes. It was one of the most satirical shows. We don't have any satire on television at the moment, do we?
It's all safe TV now.
Why don't we have any comedians taking the piss out of David Cameron or Ed Miliband or Nigel Farage or any of the other? Why is there no satire anymore? I can't think of one comedian who does political stuff, who's taking the mick out of politics. I cannot think of one. I could be wrong. Get in touch. Email me, jameswhaleradio@gmail.com. But I can't think of one. Anyway, I was sitting, much as I am now, I'm moving about a lot, I apologise on the show today. I was sitting in my chair getting made up. Yeah, no, I need a bit of makeup at Yorkshire Television. Suddenly, somebody put their hands round my face from behind and went, "I bet you don't know who this is, do you?" I said, "Rick, stop messing about." I knew it was Rick because he was just a few chairs. If you imagine like a hairdressing salon, the makeup place in TV studios, lots of chairs and, it's a bit like a hairdresser. He was a few chairs down and I think he'd gone off to do something. But I met him I never met him since, obviously, and that was the first time I met him, the only time I met him. We had a chat. Really funny guy. What a funny chap. It's very sad, because I think that the sort of, he did push it to the extreme.
Very, very clever genius.
Yeah, I was sad to hear that. Only 56 years old, and a tragic loss. I want to know where the satire is. So if you know, get in touch. Now, listen. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. This is James Whale's radio show. You can hear it wherever you're listening to me at the moment. Tell your friends, download us, listen at jameswhaleradio.co.uk. You can pick it up on some radio stations. And here we are. You go to our website. You can download 38 hours of stuff. Now, I've got to say hello to David from Hazlitt.
David Hazlitt.
David Hazlitt.
I've written it wrong.
Have you?
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't my fault. It says here, thanks to David for Hazlitt.
Yeah, it should be
for send me a horn.
The horn you've got on your desk.
Well, this.
Ow.
Not very good. What? Let me try that again. Hang on, let me have another go. I always used those on one of my radio show years ago. David must remember. Very well done, David. Thank you very much indeed. Give it another go very quickly. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to dedicate that to Rik, in Rik's memory. He'd have enjoyed a quick honk on the horn, wouldn't he?
He would, yeah.
We've had literally hundreds of people, sadly, saying they're going to miss Rik Mayall, and quite rightly too. But there must be some more satirists around somewhere.
Is that a word?
Satirists? Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I tell you, one of my radio shows, we had a funny turn this week. I'm talking to the sports guy, doing the sports stuff, and we're talking about cricket. And in his report, he said, and obviously so-and-so complained about the hard balls. I said, hang on, all cricket balls are hard. He said, yes, but they're harder when they're new. You know, when you call for new balls in cricket, the new cricket ball is much harder. It gets softened up a bit. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, apparently, and then I said, so, you know, do they still do that sort of rubbing it on their trousers, you know, sort of in their groins? And he said, oh, yeah, you rub the ball on your trousers, you rub it on the groin, and it makes it a bit harder. I couldn't. Luckily, he didn't realise. He just carried on doing the sports news. And I'm sitting in the studio sort of holding my head so I don't make copious, laughing, hysterical, giggling girly noises. Oh, that's sexist. Giggling people noises.
And did you manage it?
Yeah, well, nearly, but the producer knew because the producer had heard it as well. But it was just funny. He said, yeah, you know, rubbing it there actually just makes it go hard again.
Stop it.
Oh, dear. You're listening to the James Whale Radio Show online. And, of course, you can pick it up on radio stations, you can audio it, you can hear it through our friends at talentgb.com. Now, some of the serious topics. I was in London earlier this week and sitting in traffic because the taxi drivers decided they were all going to park their taxis up in the most inconvenient places and bring the centre of London to a standstill. And, you know, why? I'd never even heard of this, whatever it is, Uber or something, that you can get taxis. I don't even know what it is, but I'll probably check it out now. What do the taxi drivers, if you're listening to this, guys, what the hell do you think that was going to achieve? Except made lots of people very, very late for business, for doctor's appointments, for all kinds of things. I mean, what on earth possessed you to do that?
Is it Uber that app that you can just go on your phone? It tells you where you are, obviously, and it shows you where the nearest taxi is, and then you can say, I want to hail that taxi, and then the taxi comes, and then that's it. Because you're not allowed to hail a taxi on the roadside, are you? But if you use an app, you can get around that. That's
exactly what it is. And that's exactly what people will probably use now in future.
It sounds like a really good idea.
Well, I'd never heard of it. I think it probably is. But all these flipping taxi drivers parking their cabs, trying to stop everybody getting where they want to be. It was just incredibly rude. Incredibly rude. I'm sorry, I know lots of taxi drivers listen to me. But I think somebody has to say this, guys. That is not the way to behave. Want to get in touch? jameswhaleradio@gmail.com. You know where I am. Facebook me as well. I love it when you Facebook me and you're rude about me, as some people are about various radio shows. I mean, because you must be really quite bitter and twisted. Because when I don't like somebody, I just don't bother. But for you to keep on, and it's quite funny. You must be really sad and rather, I don't know, what's a good word? Well, just sad, I suppose. Sad and probably, issue-wise, you've got issues, haven't you?
Can't you just block them? Do you block them?
I don't bother. Why block them?
Oh, okay.
I like the idea they're talking about me. And whether it's on my Facebook page or any radio station I happen to be working on's Facebook page, I don't care. I love it. I love it. I mean, because there are some bitter and twisted old people around, and good, you know. As if I'm aggravating you, then my work here is not going unnoticed. Well,
I'll stop doing it from now on.
Yeah, I knew it was you. Lots of talk this week on the controversy of the Birmingham schools. Did you read about that, Robbo?
I did read about what they call Trojan horses. Is that what we're talking about?
Getting religious fanatics into schools and making sure children are brought up with a religious whatever. I've got to tell you, I'm against it. Right? We put this question out on Facebook, and I'll read you some of the replies in a minute. I went to a C of E school because mostly all schools were C of E. And the thing I don't like about religious schools, whether they're Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Catholic, is this. They teach religion, i.e. a faith, as if it were a fact. Now, I don't know whether there's a God. I've no idea. I don't know whether when you die, if you've been a very good person, you go and sit on a cloud and play a harp or whatever it is you think. I don't know whether you go to another existence and hang out with nice people in meadows with beautiful sunshine all the time. I don't know. Actually, I don't really want to know. Whatever it is, whether it's anything or nothing, I don't think we'll know. I don't think we'll suddenly get there, wherever it is, and say, hey, this is all right. I'd have come here sooner if I'd known. I don't think that's going to happen. And I do find it annoying, and I'd like your feedback on this, please. I do find it annoying that we tend to want to inflict our thoughts, our views on our children. And I think making a child go to a school and then they have to be brought up in this particular religion, surely an individual, a child, should be able to choose. Surely they should be able to choose for themselves. You know, being a good human being you don't have to be religious. I'm not religious. And you can't get a much better person than me, can you? Shut up. You know, to be a nice person, to be concerned about other people, to be interested in other people, not to want to go and nick other people's stuff, don't want to go and kill people. You know, morals aren't only there with people who are religious. In fact, some of the most immoral people I know are very strongly religious. Some of the most hateful people I know are very strongly religious. So that's my thought. I don't think we should have any faith schools. What do you think about that? Get in touch, James Whale /Facebook. That'd be interesting. What?
That'll be interesting if they get there. James Whale /Facebook.
Oh, you know, what is it? You tell them.
Facebook.com /James Whale Radio.
That's what I said. I'm dyslexic. Should we go through some of the thoughts that people have been sending in?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to do some?
Well, I'll say the majority say that there shouldn't be any faith schools and there shouldn't be any religion in schools.
Okay. Mark Gibbs says Christian schools are fine. I don't know. Why would a Christian school be any better than a Muslim school or a Jewish school? I don't, you know, surely we should teach people to respect everybody's religion. And we should teach religions to respect everybody as well. Wouldn't that be the best way? And also, there are certain areas now where unless you are a person who goes to a church, and this happens quite a lot in Church of England schools, and I don't think it should. Unless you can prove you go to church, you can't get your child into the school. I mean, it used to be, you know, I had a Welsh mother, and in Wales on Sundays, we used to go to Wales a lot for my summer holidays. Sundays, you couldn't get a drink.
Really?
Wales used to be, there were dry areas because of the very staunch chapels that seem to rule with a rod of iron. I mean, today, you can't go into a supermarket at certain times on a Sunday and buy alcohol because it offends religion. I tell you what offends me. Well, no, I better not, otherwise I'll be roundly castigated, excuse me. Kev B says, faith totally instills fear. My 7-year-old niece now is fearful of getting on a plane because her teacher made her pray for the lives lost on flight MH370. Thanks, Christianity. Ken Brown's an interesting point. Ken Brown says, in a word, no. We need facts, morals and ethics to be taught, not religious fiction. I was on a programme on the BBC last year called Sunday Morning Live on BBC One. And I was on to debate this very point, and there was a reverend on. In fact, I can't remember the guy's name, but he actually, in a different light, he wrote the hits of Five Star. You remember the group Five Star?
I remember the group Five Star, yeah.
Yeah, well, he wrote their hits, and then he went on, he got religion and became a minister or a pastor, and he came on with his Bible, and, you know, in fact, I refer to him as Reverend Five Star, because I could never remember his name. And he was going on about how faith has to be taught properly in schools and blah, blah, blah. And I said, what you want children taught, Adam and Eve, is a fact. You want that taught as a fact? And he had no answer. He did. He said, of course. Now, I don't know whether it was a fact or not, but I don't think it should be taught as a fact until there's proof. Do you? I think it's a faith that some people have. May have been like that, may not have been like that. You'll have to make up your own mind.
I knew something was up when I was in school, when you had the morning assembly and you had to bow your head and do the Lord's Prayer. And one day I didn't bow my head, and I was sort of looking up, and there was about 5 or 6 other children not bowing their head, and about 3 or 4 of the teachers not bowing their head. And it was at that point I realised that, hang on, is there something not quite right about this religion? Why aren't these people doing it? And then from that day onwards, I didn't do it either.
Well, and I think if you've been going to a Catholic school and you'd be doing that, you've got a slap on the back of the head, probably.
With a ruler.
Yeah. Samantha Doyle says schools should be for academia, not faith. Faith should be a private and personal thing. Do it in your own time, in your own place of worship, Samantha. Absolutely right. Tom Shapcott says, we don't call ourselves a Christian country. We are a country with many, many faiths for those who want to believe in something. All schools should be non-religious, just educate on the subject along the way. That's how I feel. And I don't think we should call ourselves a Christian country or a Muslim country or any other sort of religious country. Paul Wetton says, yes, we do need Christian schools. Why? And he answers that question, because we're a Christian country. Paul, I don't understand it at all, mate. You'll have to explain it more to me. Susan Harris, school is for reading, writing and arithmetic. That's absolutely right. Gillian Mansfield said, if those of a particular faith want their children to attend a faith school, I see nothing wrong with that. Well, except that you're teaching children that a particular form of life and a particular form of thought is better than another, and surely that's not good. Paul Kennedy says religion has no place in schools, but a fact-based appraisal within history. Catholic schools are some of the worst. And Andy says, should we be bothering with faith at all in the 21st century? It's not done the world any favours. You're absolutely right, because let's face it, we're fighting probably more wars than we have for ages, and it's looking to me as if we're about to start another war. Not start one, it's going on in Iraq at the moment. I can see us going back to that. I've had my say. If you want to have your say, get in touch. This is the address, Robbo.
If you want to email us, it's jameswellradio@gmail.com.
Fabulous. You're listening to the James Whale Radio Show online and on your radio station, or in your iPad, on your iPhone, in your Android, well, anywhere you want, really. Don't forget, if you go to our website, jameswellradio.co.uk, and you look for the Audible link.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It is right.
Click on the Audible link and follow the links, register there, and you can get a free audio book, can't they?
They can indeed.
You could have mine, which I spent a week recording. You don't have to have mine, but if you would like the audio book, and it is of course now coming up to summer holidays. And what better thing to take with you to listen on the way in your car as you are lying on the beach, rather than sitting there having to keep your eyes open to read a book. Just have me in your head reading my book to you. But you might not want that. You can get another book. You get any book you want. Audible. Follow the links. Have you followed the links?
I've already got it. I downloaded. I've done everything.
All right, okay. Now, should we have some music?
Yes, please.
Okay, our friends at talentgb.com are now providing us with the music and entertainment for the show. Keep bumping into the microphone, I do apologise. Now, if you want to see, hear or hire any of these artists that you have heard on the programme, all you have to do is go to talentgb.com. So if you want to hire, hear, find out more, go to talentgb.com. And if you are an act yourself, whether you're a comedian, a ventriloquist, any satirists, bands, singers, whatever you do, go to talentgb.com and find out what they could do for you. Now, we're going to have Anne Harrod-Rees. I used to know an actress called Anne Harrod-Rees. Don't think it's the same one. She's a classically trained soprano from Neath in South Wales, where I was going to do a Geordie accent for some reason. I've no idea why. The same town as Catherine Jenkins. My mum came from the valleys, a place called Rumney. See? By year. Just by year. And just up the road from Paul Potts, of course. Maybe they all have that sort of voice. So Anne Harrod-Rees, you go to talentgb.com, you can see, I think there's a video up there of her singing, pictures and everything else, find out more. And it's really quite a nice piece of music. I like this. She's hoping to break into the music industry, and she's hoping to follow in the footsteps of Paul Potts and Catherine Jenkins. Do you see that girl? What was her name? Lucy Kay, who came second on Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
She was great. I thought she was brill. I thought she should have won, actually, to be honest. Anyway, here's Anne Harrod-Rees and Fleur de Mal.
Is it you I keep thinking of? Should I feel like I do? I've come to know that I miss your love, while I'm not missing you. We run till it's gone, et les fleurs du mal won't let you be. Hold the key to an open door. Will I ever be free? Comme les fleurs du mal, un amour fatal. Comme les fleurs du mal, un amour fatal. All my life I've been waiting for, in this perfume of pain, to forget when I needed more of love's endless refrain. We live and we pray. Pour les fleurs du mal, I've lost my way. What is done will return again. Will I ever be free? Comme les fleurs du mal, un amour fatal. Comme les fleurs du mal, un amour
I could get a job on Classic, couldn't I? Oh, mind you, that's owned by Global, isn't it? Maybe not. And there we are, Anne Harrod-Rees and Fleur de Mal. Find out more at talentgb.com. What was that?
It sounds like we got a vehicle reversing outside the studio.
This is a very good time for me to call up Tracy Edwards and have a chat with her, don't you think?
Well, I'll go outside and find out what's going on, and then you give her a call.
I'll give her a ring. Hold on. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Tracy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, very good.
Now, let me just get this right. Tracy Edwards, OBE.
MBE.
MBE. That's better, isn't it, than an OBE?
Well, it means my bloody efforts rather than others' bloody efforts.
Yes, that's what I was just telling my producer, Rob. Now, what year did you cross the Atlantic? Because I looked on Wikipedia and then into some of your background information, and it gives me 3 or 4 choices.
Oh my God! Well, the Atlantic or racing around the world?
Well, let's do the racing around the world first.
Yeah, the first time I raced around the world was 85, 86, and I was a cook on an all-male boat, which inspired me to put an all-female boat together in 89, 90, and that's when I skippered maiden, so that was my second time round.
And that's when you went around the world as well, just with women?
Yes.
And then you crossed the Atlantic. Was that on your own or with a crew?
No, I've never sailed on my own. I'm a little bit saner than that.
I was going to say, when are you going to do it?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. And is it true that you got expelled from school?
Yes.
Oh, I want to know more about that. Go on, tell me.
Well, I was a horrible teenager. Horrible, vile, dreadful, my poor mother. And sailing... the reason I love working with the Princess Trust is because it gives kids a second chance, and sailing gave me that second chance. I don't know where I would have ended up if it hadn't been for sailing.
Yeah, reading about you, Tracy, I see you as a pillar of society, an MBE, a friend of royalty, a person who is a trustee of many charities, a motivational speaker. You're the last person I would have expected to be expelled. Well,
I think it's that made me do the things that I did. I think if I'd stayed at that school, I would have just spiraled. It would have just been a sort of a downward spiral to goodness knows what. Forcing me out into the world and getting onto boats was, I think, why I'm here now. Well, it is why I'm here now. I know that, absolutely.
Weren't the school days the best days of your life?
How shall I put this? No.
Join the club. Tell me, you were expelled for drinking and smoking, is that right?
On the school drama trip, yeah.
Oh, that's even better. Even better. Right, now, here's the story. I want to know, what is it like? What makes people want to sail on a fairly small vessel right around the world? What drives you to do it?
I think, the first time round I did it because I didn't know what it was about, and someone said to me, "Oh, you should give this a go, and it's great fun, and you'll love it." And I did love it. They were absolutely right. I mean, Maiden obviously had lots of different aspects going for it, getting women out on the water, the first time women had sailed around the world. But for me, being out on the ocean life is very much simpler, and yes, the ocean is trying to kill you, but it's doing that to your face. It's not stabbing you in the back and trying to do that in secret. So everything about the ocean is up front, and it's up to you. It's your commitment and your strength and what you do that affects whether you survive or not. And I really like that, and I love the ocean. I love being out there.
Because it's not as if you stop off at every port and actually see the world you're sailing round, is it?
No, but I mean, with the whitbread, the one that we did on Maiden, there were 5 stopovers, and you depending on the length of the leg that you've just done before, you spend 3 or 4 weeks in each port. Now, okay, yes, you don't really visit, you don't get the chance to really see much. You're repairing the boat most of the time, and being with family and friends. But I have been lucky enough to also, sort of sail on boats where spending a little bit more time in ports. But I guess my next ambition in life is to see inland of everywhere, because I've seen a lot of ports in the world.
I've sailed across the North Sea and spent most of the time hanging my head over the side of the ship, throwing up, and promised I would never ever go on a boat again. And since they dug the Channel Tunnel, I haven't. What is it about? It's quite. Listen, I floated on a lilo out at sea, looking back at the beach, and there is a certain different perspective you get about where you are, and presumably the further out you go, the better perspective you get.
That's true, and I mean, for me, seeing land disappear over the horizon is the best bit for me. Those first few hours on the boat are magical, and no matter how many times I've set sail and sailed from, sort of from A to B, from one country to another, I've never got over that sense of release. And it's and especially, if you've got a great team, the Maiden girls are the best team in the world, and we got on so well. And when you see the land disappear behind you, you look around and you think, oh, it's just us now. And you get on with the job in hand. There is something just very special about that. And yes, after 5 weeks at sea, you can't wait to get in at the other end and eat some normal food and, see some other people. But being out there, it really does. And it puts everything into perspective as well. It reminds you of how insignificant people really are.
Doesn't it get boring? I mean, seeing the same thing every single day for weeks on end, doesn't it get annoying?
No, the ocean changes all the time, and I mean, one of the things that I found so magical when I first went sailing, my first ever trip, was I thought, I'm seeing now what Columbus saw when he sailed across the ocean. Apart from obviously the rubbish that man has tipped into the ocean and sort of floats by. As long as you can't see that, it's one of the very few places left on Earth that you feel. This is what it looked like thousands of years ago, and this is what it looks like now. But it is, every day it changes. The sky changes, the colour of the sea changes, the wildlife. You see whales and dolphins and different seabirds, and the weather can be calm, in which case you all have time to chat, and you become very social. And then the storm whips up, or it becomes a nightmare, and everyone kind of closes down a bit, but you all become very determined and get on with the things that you've got to get on with. And and that's when you look at the person next to you and think, I can really rely on this person. I'm trusting this person with my life. So there's not really any boredom, unless you have maybe 3 or 4 days without any wind, and then everyone starts going a little bit stir crazy. But it is an incredible experience.
Do you do things like, I don't know, I mean, do you go for a swim when you're there and it's calm?
Well, now then, on cruising boats, when I've been crossing the Atlantic, there's always a bit in the middle where there's not much wind. And I have watched people jump over the side and swim, but I've never been able to bring myself to do that, because A, I am not a great swimmer, and B, I have a real problem with being in the water and thinking of all that space around me, sort of in the ocean. I prefer to be on the boat, but I have watched other people do it, and it does make me go a little bit hot and cold.
That's amazing. I would have thought to do that, to go around the world, to go across the Atlantic, you would have A, had to be a really superb swimmer, and B, not worried about going in the water at all. Well,
it's interesting, actually. I mean, I'm not a great swimmer because I had a horrendous experience when I was younger. My cousin, goodness bless him, we were learning to swim, and he suddenly thought he was drowning and climbed on top of me and pushed me under, and that really makes me quite worried about being in the water, and I've never got over it. But actually, if you go back in history, a lot of, sort of you think a lot of the merchant navy sailors and also fishermen deliberately didn't learn to swim because if you go over the side, you cannot rely on being able to swim to survive, and especially if you go over the side in the Southern Ocean, you live for about 25 minutes, and if the boat hasn't turned around in 25 minutes, it doesn't matter whether you can swim or not, you're going to die of hypothermia. So actually, I think in my case, it's been a bit of a bonus because I've always been very quick to, say to people, put your safety harness on, clip on, don't go over the side, and so I think it's better not to go in the water, than to go in. So it's never really been a worry that I can't swim because I never have any intention of going in.
Have you ever thought to yourself what drowning is like?
When I read The Perfect Storm, it is one of the most horrendous descriptions of drowning I have ever read in my life, and it really did. It took me about 3 months to finish that book because I could barely read one sentence at a time. And yes, I think it's crossed our minds, and especially when you're in a storm in the Southern Ocean, and you do get scared. I mean, anyone would be lying if they said they didn't get scared, and I've been absolutely petrified before now. And yes, it crosses your mind, but you have to just get on with the job at hand and not think about it.
I always hear from people who do amazing, or you may say strange things like you, Tracy. And they always say, well, you've just got to get on with the job in hand. And I'm thinking, no, you don't. You don't have to do that. It's not really a job. You're doing it because you want to, because you really want to test yourself and you want to see what happens. In fact, in a way, you want to know how you would survive.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. We're not out there no one's made us go out there. Absolutely, it's our choice. We want to race around the world, and for different reasons, I guess. I mean, the first time I did it as a cook, I really had no idea what it was like to be at sea for 5 weeks at a time, especially with the mad guys that I raced around the world with. With Maiden, it was, it was really what are we capable of? What can we do? What can we achieve? Can we set a benchmark? And as well, because so many people have said it's impossible it's so difficult to remember, 25 years ago, people did think it was impossible for a team of women to sail around the world, and we didn't know one way or the other, so we were being very, big bravado about it. Yes, we can do this, but I know that we were all thinking, can we? We actually have no idea at all. So it was a complete test of what we were capable of. But once you're out there, you can't have those thoughts. You just have to focus on what you're there to achieve and, getting to the next port alive. And in my case, getting my team there alive so that I could return them safely to their parents.
What happens when you fall out? No, I'll tell you what, more interestingly, what happens if you fall for one of the people you are crossing the Atlantic or sailing around the world with?
I think there's a real difference here between charter boats, sort of cruising boats and racing boats. So on charter boats, it's a lot more relaxed. You have stewardesses and you have deckhands, and a lot of them have relationships, and you have captains and cooks who are husband and wife, and it's a lot more relaxed. You're sailing in the Mediterranean or the Caribbean or the Indian Ocean, and it is a completely different atmosphere. On racing boats, it's never really a good idea, I don't think, to have relationships on board. When I was on Atlantic Privateer doing the 85-86 race, my boyfriend was on Drum, which was Simon Le Bon's boat, and that worked out absolutely fine. The guys on my boat were my 17 older brothers, if you like, and that's a good way to do it. I think relationships can be tricky on racing boats.
I thought women weren't allowed on boats with men. I thought men would say, no, we don't want any women on this boat, it'll ruin everything.
Well, I pestered them for 3 weeks to get onto that boat, and the only reason they allowed me on was because when I did the first leg on a boat called Great Britain 2, GB2, and I just thought it was too dangerous, and I didn't think the skipper knew what he was doing, so I got off in Cape Town. fully intending to fly home, and then very sadly the cook on Atlantic Privateer had a stroke. I mean, he was fine in the end, but I knew that they were looking for a cook, so I pestered them for 3 weeks until the end. They got so sick and tired of me, they said, "Oh, for goodness sake," and they couldn't find anyone else, so they just let me on board. But they were not happy about it. Absolutely, they were the only maxi boat with a girl on board, and I know that everyone took the mickey out of them mercilessly for that. But by the end of the race, they were fine.
All right, let's talk a bit about crossing the Atlantic, and before we talk about you, let's talk about this terrible tragedy the other day where these guys lost their lives. What do you think happened?
It's very difficult to know until I think we hear all the information. I mean, the reason that I got involved was because I thought that a search for 42 hours was just too short. And at that time, no one really did know what had happened. I mean, I think looking at the photographs, the keel did come off, which means that even though they were taking on water and were prepared, when a keel comes off, everything happens very, very quickly. The boat goes over really quickly, especially if they had any sails up at all. And I don't think they would have stood a chance. But I think the reason that we all fought so hard for the search to continue was that if they had been in a life raft, if they'd had managed to get into the life raft, or, Tony Bullimore survived in an upturned hull, remember, for 5 days in the Southern Ocean. So I think everyone just felt that it was, that they deserved. People train very hard and they work very hard to be safe at sea, and I think, therefore, we expect that someone will come looking. Now, if that's not the case, and people are going to say, well, we can't afford it and we don't want to do that and it's your fault, you're out there in the first place, that's fine, but you have to let people know before they set to sea. And if those are going to be the new rules, I think sailors will deal with it, but for me it was just, I think the search needed to go on a bit longer, and it's just tragic that they didn't make it.
I think everybody was amazed, Tracy, and I was quite disgusted that the Americans should give up so soon. I don't think they would have given up that soon if it had been an American yacht.
I think that's what everyone felt, and there is a real, there's an unsaid rule at sea. In some cases, in some countries it is law, but I know that if an American yacht had gone missing within our search area, not that we have any search and rescue left, but I know that the RAF would not have given up. They would have absolutely spent a lot more time than that. And you look at the Australians now. The Australian Navy have the whole Southern Ocean within their search area, and they never give up until it's absolutely, they're absolutely certain that there's no hope. And I think everyone was just a bit disappointed. And as I say, if it comes down to resources, people just have to know that they're not going to be searched for, so they can make other arrangements.
Do you think, talking about the Malaysian airliner that's gone missing, are you surprised that nothing has been found of it?
Not really. It's a big ocean. It's, it's really only when you spend 5 weeks at sea and see not another thing, no sight of land, no ship, no person, nothing except the ocean, that you realise it's big out here, and there is a real sense of, there's some parts of the ocean that feel very desolate, and I guess I'm not really that surprised that it hit the water with force and went down then, and the wreckage has since sunk. I'm not really that surprised, no.
Now, let's talk about you wanting to get your boat back. Tell me the story. Tell me why this is the first boat that went round the world with a female crew.
Yes.
Where is the boat at the moment?
She's stuck in the Indian Ocean, and she was dumped there about 3 years ago by I sold her to someone, and then he sold her to someone else, and he decided that he couldn't be bothered to do what he was doing anymore, so he just left her. And interestingly, I went to have dinner last night with the owner of the marina who's rescued her, and I didn't realise they spent a year looking for me. 2 years ago they found me, and we've been working on this project ever since, sort of quietly in the background. And this man was absolutely delightful, and he said to me, we were determined to find you because we knew that we had to put the two of you back together again. And I think it always, I don't know, sometimes in life we get a bit battered and bruised, and when you meet someone who's kind for the sake of being kind, it's it's very special. And so leading on from him finding us, I thought, well, we've got to rescue her. So, we've put together quite a significant team of people, and the crowdfunding that we're doing now is to pay for the shipping to get her back from Cape Town to the UK, where obviously we want to celebrate her 25th anniversary on the 28th of May next year by crossing the finishing line again.
Will you sail her back?
I will, yes, after vowing never to go to sea again and completely retiring and asking people to please hold me down if I ever talk about going sailing again. Yes, it's... I won't be running her when she gets back here. We've got a charitable trust that will be working with youth organisations, and hopefully we'll have some young skippers and some young crews, and that's what she should be doing in her, golden years. But yes, no, I couldn't miss an opportunity to sail her back from Cape Town to the UK. And there are 3 other maiden girls who are coming as well. Then we'll all cross the finishing line. We'll meet the others in Falmouth. But, of course, there's other places available. So it could be quite an interesting sail back, and I'm very excited.
Well, I'd love to come, but I really won't. Excuse me, I'm going to choke myself even thinking about it. Right, how much money do you need?
At the moment, we're trying to raise £44,000, and that's to build a cradle for her and get her on a ship. And
how much have you got?
We're now up to 16,500, which is absolutely fantastic. That's after 1 week, but we've got to keep going. I've just noticed that Richard Branson, bless him, has put it out on his Twitter feed. So, yeah, just need as many people to go. And it doesn't matter how little. If we had 3,000 people giving £10, that gets us there. So the support and everything helps.
Well, I think you'll have the money in about 2 weeks.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope so.
I can guarantee it. I'm pretty sure if Richard Branson has done that, he'll be, I wouldn't mind betting he comes along and says, listen, never mind, Tracy, how much do you want? Here's 80 grand. Go on, get it.
I don't know if he thinks his seafaring days are over.
Well, he'll probably want to come with you when I think about it, so be careful. In fact, why don't you just get in touch with him and ask him? I think it must be annoying being someone who has that kind of money and having everyone on at you all the time. So I asked for his help with the tweeting, and he's very kindly done that, and that's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And this really is about, the crowdfunding for me is an interesting one because we raised before Royal Jordanian Airlines came in as our sponsor, we spent 2 years fundraising before we got hold of the boat. And it really was people knocking at our front door saying, what can I do to help? And people selling badges and boxer shorts and T-shirts at boat shows. We raised hundreds of thousands of pounds by thousands of people coming together and doing their bit. And so crowdfunding is the online version of that. And I find it fascinating. So I love the feel of everyone coming together and recreating the maiden spirit and doing what we did, sort of 25 years ago. It really feels like that, and it's been fantastic. Sorry, I was going to say, how seaworthy is it?
She will need a bit of work in Cape Town to make sure that she's safe, obviously, and then when we get her home, it's always a continual maintenance thing.
So do you think when you get her back, there's going to have to be an ongoing cost to look after her?
Well, there will be, but what we have is we're now talking to sponsors and people. So we're working with the Prince's Trust and Regenerate, which are 2 charities I'm an ambassador and patron of, and what we want is to focus on getting young people out on the water. Now, a lot of maritime museums have offered to host her at different times of the year, so that's, we won't have to pay dockage, so that's absolutely fantastic. That's very kind and generous of them. And then what we're doing is we're talking to businesses who want to sponsor young people to go out sailing, and they will sponsor the boat. And there's various other things that we're doing as well, chartering her out for various regattas and things, and that will pay for, her ongoing program, which is to get young people out on the water.
Now, Tracy, how can people find out more about this? How can they get involved and help you?
Okay, well, if they go to www.crowdfunder.co.uk/maiden-rescue, or they can just go to crowdfunder.co.uk and look for the Maiden Rescue Project and give whatever, pledge whatever. No amount is too small. Obviously, if they'd like to do the larger amounts, we would be very, very grateful, but every bit helps, every bit.
And, of course, people can follow you on Twitter, as I do. What is your Twitter?
It's at Tracy Edwards MBE, so nice and simple.
Right.
So TRACY Edwards MBE.
Good, lovely. Well, when you get Maiden back over here, and seeing that I've told you you're going to, I think 2 weeks, maybe 3, before you have at least £40,000, I will expect you to offer me a little trip around only the harbour somewhere.
Okay, well, why don't you sail with us from Falmouth to Southampton to cross the finishing line on the 28th of May?
Well, okay. If you if you do it, I'm sure you will do it. And if I'm still alive, and if I haven't found a good excuse, maybe we can come and record a piece actually doing it. That would be quite fun, wouldn't it?
Okay, fantastic.
But I shall continue to follow you on Twitter, and we'll get together. We'll talk about how it's going between now and I reckon the end of the summer. It'll all be done and dusted, and you'll be making plans.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, we've got to the 3rd of July for this campaign, so we're just, keeping going. And thank you so much for your support.
Tracy, lovely to talk to you. Talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Her Wikipedia page doesn't do her justice.
It doesn't, does it?
No.
And the one question I was trying to build myself up to ask her was, because if I was out crossing the Atlantic or going around the world, and I imagine that on those, they're quite small, some of those yachts, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'd be tempted to sort of jump over the side, tied on, jump over the side, and just to do all your sort of toilet business while you're hanging in the sea, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but what if a little shark or something comes up and nips your bits?
Well, I mean, that would happen. You wouldn't go where there was sharks, would you? I mean, that must happen when they occasionally... But I wonder if they ever do that. Wouldn't you want to do that?
Normally they only just perch over the side.
Do they?
Yeah. Or you could drill a hole in the bottom of the boat.
Don't be ridiculous. Of course you can't.
Why?
Right. Because you can't. Right, are we on to another bit of music? Is it Anne Harrod again?
It is.
Okay, and of course, again, she's great. She's a lovely voice. This is her version of Bring Me to Life. And if you would like to see, hear, or find out how you can hire Anne Harrod, go to talentgb.com. Go to their website, check this out. And also, if you are in the entertainment business and you want to get some more publicity for what you do, maybe even get them to book you to come on this show, go to talentgb.com, find out more there. But do have a listen to this.
How can you see into my eyes like open doors, leading you down into my core, where I've become so numb, without a soul, my spirit sleeping somewhere cold, until you find it there and lead it back home. Wake me up inside, call my name and save me from the dark. Pinch my touch, without your life, darling. On you, I that life among the bid my blood to run before I come undone. Save me from the nothing I've become. Rivet your life.
Does that say
Evanescence.
What?
Evanescence.
Anne Harrod Rees, the Evanescence song, Bring Me to Life. Evanescence.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, it's a made-up name for a band.
Is it the Evanescence?
Yeah, Essence of Evan.
Oh, is that Anne Harrod's band or the people who are backing her?
No, that's the original artist, and she's doing a cover version of Bring Me to Life.
Now get me right. I mean, have you ever heard of Evanescence?
Yes, I have it on my iPod.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that one of these newfangled bands?
No, it's like a rock band with a female artist.
Oh, do you know, I've never heard of Evanescence.
Well,
Never heard of them. You know how we're good at giving things away on this programme?
yeah, is this going to cost us money?
No. I'm just thinking, whilst you're downloading a free audiobook, go to our website, front page there, click on the Audible link, and you get a free audio book. Could be mine, could be somebody else's, but do it because it's free. And then, excuse me, on the other side, you have the Love Film banner. And if you click on the Love Film banner, you can get, what can they get, Rob?
1 month of unlimited films.
Free.
All free, yep.
You forgot that.
I forgot what? It was free?
Yeah. And while we're on about it, before the end of the show, just to make sure we can do this again next week, go and buy something from the shop. Very, very simple. Go to our shop, jameswellradio.co.uk
Shop.
Why don't you say, buy a baseball cap and we'll give you a book for £3?
Why don't we say, buy 10 books and you'll be our friends for life?
That's even better. Anyway, go to the shop, check it out, and we should put a photograph of me with a baseball cap or something on.
Yeah, if I get round to sending you one.
Yeah. Well, I've sent you loads of money, so it's about time you did, actually, when I think about it.
And yeah, that's true.
Right, I think it's almost time for us to go, to be honest with you. So don't forget, tell your friends about us on Facebook. Let's have some feedback on the programme, particularly those miserable gits that go on about, I don't like James. Tough. Good to know you're listening, though. And to all those people who listen, in their hundreds of thousands now, to the James Whale Radio Show online, thank you very much indeed. Tell your friends, join us right here every week. And if you've only just found us, go back and listen to some of the other programmes. There's some great ones up there. We've got Nigel Farage long before the election. We've got Boy George. We've got Theo Pathetis, Dragon's Den. We should get Theo and Tracy Edwards together. He can probably give her a few bob.
Yeah. He's the man, isn't he?
Because he's into boats, so he might be interested in
What
that.
do you mean he's into boats?
He likes boats. He likes to go on boats.
Yeah, but this is a racing boat.
It doesn't matter. He likes boats. That noise is bad. I'm going now. Say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
James Well, the voice of reason on the James Well Radio Show.
You're listening to the James Whale Radio Show. For more information, visit www.jameswhaleradio.co.uk. Why not check us out on facebook.com/James Whale Radio Show or follow James on Twitter @the James Whale. James Whale, the voice of reason.